Hi everyone, this is Dikshit. Welcome to my channel. In this particular video, I'm going to discuss about remote execute provisioner. The remote execute provisioner invokes the script on a remote resource after it is created. So this remote execute provisioner, it is basically used to run any command or a script on newly created resources. Like let's say you have created an EC2 machine, and top of that, like you want to execute or you want to execute some script, so which is copied through a file provisioner. So then you can make use this remote execute provisioner. And also this can be used to run the configuration management tools and bootstrapping your cluster. For many purposes, this remote execute provisioner can be used. So to explain this, I have taken a very simple example. So the repo is same, so which I've used for local execute and file provisioner. The repository is terraform and in my account. So I'm gonna leave this link in description as well. So under that, like terraform folder, so there is provisioner folder. So inside that there is a remote provisioner folder. So inside that I have a couple of files. So one is AWS underscore INY underscore lappy.pem. This is a PEM key that I have already in my AWS account, so that I've downloaded and I've kept here. And copy.sh, I'm not using it in this remote provisioner. And I have used this httpd.sh. And as you can see, this is very simple script. So which has the commands to install and start the httpd. So m install httpd -y, so which basically answer all the prompts to s, and then I'm starting httpd by using systemctl start httpd, and I'm just like enabling that httpd. And once so that is done, so here like I'm not using this file also. I'll delete these two files. So the main thing is main.tf. So in this I've written my terraform script. So I've defined my provider region, so US East 1, and I'm creating a instance, so EC2 instance. This is the AMI ID and the instance type is T2 micro, and the key name. So I want to, if at all, if I want to log in, so then I can use this AWS INY lappy.pem. So in this case, I don't need to log in also. So, but anyhow, like if you want to log in and verify it, so I can do that. So that is also one thing like I've included in this script. And also security groups, because I'll be installing HTTPD. So HTTPD will be accessible from 80 port, right? So that's the reason this is custom security group, because default security group in that, like in ingress rules, 80 port will not be allowed. So which will be like in default security group 80 is not allowed, and not allowed in the sense like they're not defined in default security group. So that's why I'm creating a custom my own security group, and I'm attaching it to my EC2. So this is a security group. So 22 for SSH login, and 80 is for to access like 80 port of that machine from outside the world. So I have just defined that, and egress, so which is outbound rules. And as you can see here, so I've used VPC security group IDs, because IDs I've mentioned it as IDs. There is an option VPC security group ID and IDs as well, because EC2 can have multiple IDs. So that's why I've used this particular tag, and I'm supplying interpolation. So AWS security group web SG ID. So once this security group created, this equation like will be replaced with ID, and I'm providing some tags. So let me edit these things. So test file. So let me make it as a remote execute provisioner, remote -exec provisioner. And then after that, I'm defining null resource. Under that, I'm executing few things. So as you can see, so the null resource, because I want to make sure once the EC2 is created, I'm executing this. So this block can be connection, provisioner, everything can be defined in this particular block itself, but I don't want to do that. So I want to confirm, make sure like once the AWS instance is created, so then I'm executing these things. Okay. And here, as you can see, I'm defining connection, because file provisioner and the remote execute provisioner should be executed on the remotely created resources, right? So we need to define. So on which way we need to log in, and what is the IP of that particular machine, and what is a user, and what is the method of login, whether it's a private key method or a password method. In my case, I'm using private key method. So this is a connection block where I've defined like all for the Terraform to use, how it can use the credentials and log into that machine and execute this provisioners. And after that, I've used a file provisioner. So I have a detailed video for file provisioner. So it is basically used to copy the files from a local machine where you are executing Terraform commands from that machine to the remotely created resources. You can use file provisioner and copy the files, or the like multiple files or a single file you can copy. In my case, I'm just copying a single file. And after that, there is a remote execute. In this, I have a tag which is inline, and I'm using two commands here. One is chmod 777, and so I'm copying it to temp folder, right? So that's the reason I'm just giving the permission to that particular shell script. And then after that is done, so I'm executing that particular shell script. So we have seen that httpd.sh as a basic commands to install httpd, and then it will gonna start the httpd. And also I have depends on. So when you use this particular tag, so what happens is like once this is done, so then only it will be executed. And this block we have already discussed, which is security group. And so this is very simple. So I'm just like copying the file and executing that particular shell script. So let's go to my mission. So I've already cloned. So let me do git pull. We did a few changes to the tags. So I just did git pull. So let me do terraform init, and the initialization is done. Now what we will do is we will run a terraform apply. Terraform apply auto approve. So when you give this option, what it does basically, it won't ask you to enter yes or no. So it will, by default, it will assume like approved, and then it will go ahead and it will create it. So as you can see from the logs, it is creating a security group, and it is taking a little time to create a AWS instance. So let's go to EC2 page and like let's refresh. And as you can see, one mission is like getting created, and you can see the provisioning with a file. So now file provisioner is executing, and once that is done, so our remote execute will be executed. And as you can see, remote execute is executing now with the information. As you can see, this is a host. This should be public IP. So 18 dot something. Yeah, see, this is a public IP, and which is connected. And as you can see from the logs, so all the resources has been created, and even local and remote execute has been successful. And if any mistake happens in like remote provisioner or a file provisioner, it will gonna be like stopped. It will gonna fail, and it will gonna be stopped. Okay, and now we can go ahead and we can access that particular instance with a particular IP. So this is what my mission is, and let me take that particular IP, and when I try to access it, so I should be able to see HTTPD page. So this is what remote execute is used for. Like if you want to execute any commands or any shell scripts, so then you can go ahead and you can use remote execute. And also we will try to log in, and we will see file provisioner also is worked properly or not. Obviously it should work properly, else it would have been not run that remote execute. So let me do ls and temp directory temp. As you can see, there is httpd.sh. And now, so one more thing with respect to this provisioners. And so by default, what happens is like if any mistakes in provisioner, like let's say the command is wrong, or any issues with scripts, so it will gonna be like, obviously it won't perform whatever the task that you have given. if any mistake is there. So what terraform does is like it will gonna stop the terraform apply. It will gonna uh, stop the terraform apply command there itself. But in case like assume like you want to like even if that execute like remote execute or a file provisioner is not worked properly, so then even then like you want to continue, in that case so you can use this keyword on failure, and then this is for local execute as you can see in this particular image, but it can be used for all the provisioners. You can use on underscore failure is equals to continue. So what it does is like even though if that particular command fails, so it will gonna be continued for like it will gonna continue creating a new resource, or it will gonna continue to execute other provisioners. Okay, so this is the option that we can use it in our provisioners. So yeah, so that's it for this video. So if you like the video, please like, share and subscribe. Thank you. Have a good day.